Happy Monday, my degenerates. How is everybody doing today? Welcome back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. It is the last Die Hard MMA podcast episode of 2021. And boy, has it been one heck of a ride this year getting to this point. I cannot believe that the year is coming to a close, and I wouldn't want to do it any other place than right here live with you guys on a Monday. So thank you all so much for jumping on here with me. Tonight's going to be a little bit of a more relaxed episode. We don't have any MMA for 4 weeks, and that's going to crush my poor little heart. I know a lot of you out there, it's going to do the same too, but we will somehow manage to survive on NHL and NFL degenerate action. I will find a way to bet on something, but I am looking forward to a little bit of additional time with my family. So, hey, right off the top, again, thank you all so much for the love and the support over the course of this past year. I am going to take the next 2 weeks off from the show, so there will be no podcast for 2 weeks back to back. I just want to let you guys know that right out the gates. We will be back on January 10th to break down the UFC fight card coming January 15th. I do have a little nugget, a little bit of a treat for you, though, because the first episode of the Deadlock podcast, where Lock of the Night and myself are joining forces to bring you a brand new MMA show, that'll be debuting on January 5th. So luckily, that very first week of the new year, you guys will have some content coming from myself and a good friend of the show. Shout out to Rex Lee in the chat. Merry Christmas to you as well, my friend. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and recap the event here so that we can go ahead and let everybody know how we ended up, for anybody who maybe doesn't follow me on Twitter that just likes to come here and hang out in the chat and whatnot. We want to make sure we go over everything and get it correct here for everybody. So this year, incredibly proud to announce that I ended up positive. For all the haters, for everybody who said that all you got to do is fade me to glorious profit, I am up 34.93 units over the course of 2021. And damn, that feels good to say. And the best part about this is, I have done one of two things. Over the course of 656 bets, 365 days, I have won 207 bets, I have lost 442 bets, and I have pushed on 7 of those. That gives me an ROI, or a return on investment, of 5.32%, which is not half bad, but an average line of plus 227. So for any of you out there who are wondering, how the hell did I make money when I literally lost twice as many bets as I won? First off, I track everything. I do it openly and honestly for you guys, and I make sure to post updates often on my Twitter. So that includes all of my Hail Marys. That includes all my round 3 sprinkles. Those are smaller bets than obviously some of the bigger, more confident sides, but they are included to make sure you guys aren't getting a watered down, padded or good looking for me type of record. If I end negative because I sprinkled too many parlays, you're going to know that because I track every single one of those. The other thing is that I've got that average line of plus 227, which means I'm taking those dog shots. I'm willing to look the fool by taking a big underdog and swinging and missing several times to hit the one that gets us where we need to be. So like I alluded to before, I've done one of two things. I have either proven that I am the luckiest human being alive. I have a golden horseshoe shoved squarely, firmly up my ass, and I have won money over the course of a year and 656 bets by knowing nothing about the sport of MMA or betting and throwing uneducated darts. Or I've proven that value exists. So for those of you who are value haters, who don't want to believe that if you make good bets and you make good value wagers over the course of time that it'll pan out, pretty sure I just proved that it does. So I'm pretty damn happy with the results for 2021. And of course, I kept my promise. Those of you who follow me on Twitter already know I did swear that I would shake my ass like Valerie Loretta if I finished this year positive because of the way I melted down and lost at the end of last year, that video has been posted to all social media accounts, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, of course, and even Facebook. Make sure you check that one out because I feel pretty damn proud of that accomplishment. I want to go over real quick the last card. Let's talk about UFC Vegas 45 because what an event to end the year on. I mean, we always know that they, for whatever reason, these garbage cards that everybody thinks is going to be crap, the name value is no good, they always end up being awesome. And I love them from a betting perspective. Dumpster diving is absolutely my favorite thing in the world when it comes to these things because we find glorious value on these garbage cards. So very, very proud to announce plus 2.97 units to close out the year. Nice little winning night for UFC Vegas 45. We kicked our night off with a late addition, Jordan Leavitt. Earlier in the week, I was very confused, didn't really know what to do with this one. As the week settled in, I got more and more confident in Jordan Leavitt, and then seeing the slight difference in size where Leavitt appeared to be just more physically imposing at the face-offs, that was enough to tip me over the edge. Went ahead and laid the chalk there on Leavitt, and even though he made us sweat just a little bit, the grappling deficiencies of Sales finally kind of reared their heads, and he got it done. So that was a fun little way to start the evening. And then Rocky Pennington, holy cow. Like I talked about the disrespect for Raquel Pennington. I mean, it was nothing but Macy Chase on money all week. And I thought I was missing something. I wish I had been more confident in this stance because I was convinced that Rocky should have been a minus 200 favorite. I thought she really should have been a much larger favorite, but money just kept pouring in on Macy Chase on. And even after the weight miss, money just kept pouring in because they thought she was going to be bigger, stronger, that was going to favor her. And I totally get that angle. Don't get me wrong. I actually had Raquel Pennington by decision at plus 100 locked in pretty early on because I thought I was getting good value on that number. Thank goodness, as that line continued to drop, I went, you know what? I have to go ahead and just lay this money line because God forbid if she does something crazy in this fight, I don't want to be standing out here with a by decision ticket and post an L when I'm so confident in Rocky. So I did go ahead and make that money line bet. So I went 1-1, broke even on that. And I did post that the new angle that we need to watch out for next year, women MMA fighters who bring our girl Jillian Robertson into camp have now gone 3-0, 3 wins, all by submission. Every single fighter that brought Jillian into camp for like the last 3 months, 4 months, whatever it was on the back half of the year, they have all won their fights by submission. So since I figured that out, we've been watching for it. I even posted about it on both Twitter and Instagram and somehow didn't have the balls to actually bet Rocky Pennington by submission. It was only like plus 450, which was another thing that had me kind of spooked on it. I wasn't sure if it was bait or if the bookmakers knew that they were onto the same thing that I was. I wasn't sure if it was a short price because they thought that submission was live or if it was because they were baiting people to take it. So I passed on it. I'm a coward. I wish I had gone for it. And honestly, I wish I had just bombed on Rocky. After that first round, I will tell you guys, again, for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, first off, what are you doing? You should, at Die Hard MMA Pod. Get over there. I was watching this fight, no joke, in the shower, got my phone on, and I'm watching Rocky Pennington, Macy Chase on as I'm taking a shower, hanging out with my family. And after that first round, I was like, oh my gosh, like Macy Chase on is going to gas. I started seeing the signs. I started seeing the writing on the wall. I quickly swipe up on my app after drying the screen of my phone off so I can actually swipe it with my thumb because it was wet. And I saw that they had her at plus 105. Again, I'm literally in the shower when this is happening, so I feel bad because I couldn't tweet it out. I always tweet my live bets, so of course this does not count towards the official record because I didn't tweet it for anybody else. But I put 2 units on Rocky at plus 105 because I knew she was going to get back into the fight after that point. Macy was slowing down, and it was apparent that Rocky, in my opinion, looked like the more seasoned fighter as we kind of knew that she would be. So I was willing to put more cha-ching on it, and sure enough, she gets that round 2 submission. Felt really good to hit on that. I just wish I had not been in the shower so I could have gotten the word on that live bet out to more people. So, I actually ended up doing better than the official record would suggest on this particular one. And you guys know me. always open, always honest. So please don't think I was trying to hide that from you or anything. It's a funny story, and I'm telling you this because I was quite literally in the shower and I posted the picture as proof afterwards. So please don't come after me like I was trying to keep that bet away from you guys. I always tell you guys, even if I look stupid after a live bet. So broke even officially on the record for the Rocky Pennington fight. You know what? And I got to go back and talk about Don'Tale Mayes for a second. Complete dominance. Third round TKO for my guy. I talked about how he could be a complete monster once he turns the corner. Now, Josh Parisian is not a big test. He's not a guy that you can really, stick your cap on and be super confident about. We knew he was a bum, but just a gorgeous performance. One of those performances that lets you know that Mayes is going the right direction, doing the right things, and just high fight IQ the whole way through. He knew his path to victory, and he took it every opportunity that he got, and then he put a stamp on it by getting a TKO at the end of the fight. So loved seeing that from Mayes. Wish I had gone ahead and had the balls to parlay him. I didn't like that minus 200 number, but like I said, he looked like a minus 500 after it was all said and done. We knew that was possible. Want to welcome in some of the rest of the chat here, people floating in. Eric Betts Fights, what's up, buddy? That's right. Thank you very much, my friend. And new game starts again in just a couple of weeks. We will be after it. Billy, what's going on? Billy Mess 420. We got Rich the Ruler in here. What's going on, my friend? FTO Combat. We will talk about the Hill fight here in just a second. Ninja Baker Daddy. Yep, good to hear that you cashed in on the Black Beast and the Monkey King. Let's eat Vegas. What's going on? All right. So the next spot that we had on our card was Melissa Gatto. And this is one that I got a lot of shit for. Oh, you know what? Real quick, Andre Ewell. Let's just briefly touch on this one. We knew better than to trust Andre Ewell. Thank goodness I kind of finally snapped myself out of that whiplash because I kind of wanted to. The early lean last week was like, why am I wanting to bet Andre Ewell? Thank goodness we stayed away from that because he is exactly who we thought he was. Moving up a weight class did not matter. Pardon me, I got to clear my throat out real quick. I got a tickle. Don't worry, it's not COVID. I'm not sick. It's just talking too much and not enough liquids. So our next spot that we actually had a bet on was Melissa Gatto. We beat a massive line movement, plus 175. People called me crazy. Everybody online talking about how Sarge in charge at 125 is going to be the thing. Sorry. Still got something weird going on in my throat. No, that tickle just showed up like 2 seconds ago and it won't leave me alone now. So this is one spot where I missed my round 3 sprinkle. Y'all know I absolutely love my round 3 sprinkles. We spotted it on the undefeated post-weigh-in show that Sarge looked awful. She missed weight. We knew that was a bad sign for her. We were already confident in Gatto before they even got on the scales. For her to miss weight and come in looking bad that way, we knew that Gatto was going to have a great advantage in the gas tank and the cardio. And I should have round 3 sprinkled. I really should have on this one. I didn't round 3 sprinkle anything on this card until the Black Beast at the very end. There were a couple spots that I looked at. And I'm really sad that I didn't because, honestly, there were several round 3 finishes, and violence was the name of the game on this card, so we could have definitely pocketed some more cash, but can't get too greedy. Happy to cash plus 175 on Gatto and beat a massive line move because I think she closed like plus 130 or something crazy like that. I mean, a massive line movement that we beat. Thankfully, steered clear of Harry Huntsucker. The man did try to go for that sub, though, early on. This one hurt, though, folks. Dustin Stolfus taking on Gerald Mearshart. I was on an island with Dustin Stolfus. Absolutely everybody told me I was insane. Everyone hit me with the L posts after I made that pick. Like, he looked like a minus 450 favorite. Like, he was all over Gerald Mearshart. Now, I saw the official scorecards, and it kind of miffs me a little bit about this. Somehow 2 of the judges gave Gerald Mearshart the second round. I had it very clearly Dustin Stolfus 2-0 going into that third. It was one-sided dominance until Gerald Mearshart pulled another third-round sub out of his ass. But at this point, it should be automatic to take Gerald Mearshart in round 3. It just should be, because it doesn't matter how beat up he is. It doesn't matter how tired he is or gassed he is. He still can sub people in the third round of a fight. He does it every damn time, and there's no stopping him. So just always, just blanketly, blindly bet Gerald Mearshart round 3 every single time he fights, I guess, is the lesson here. Didn't quite get to cash that plus 200, but pure value. That's a spot where, like, we lost that bet. I would make that exact same bet again tomorrow. Absolute pure value on Dustin Stolfus. He was the right side of that, and anybody who laid the chalk with Gerald Meerschaert. Did not make a good wager, in my opinion. Now, the next one is one that I have to, you guys know I stand here, I pound my chest, I tell you when I make a good bet, I tell you when I make a bad bet. I made a bad bet on Saturday. I took Darren Elkins and I put 2 units on him. Now, once again, beat a line move. So I get that little closing line value trophy that we all like to hold up so highly and be all excited about. But, plus 185, 2 units. I felt like the line was too wide. The read was that he was going to be able to use the grappling. When Cub Swanson walked out, and they talked about how pre-fight, he spoke to the commentators about his family, and he said that his kids were in the crowd, and he said, nobody's going to beat me in front of my children. I was like, I'm dead. I am dead. As soon as I heard that, I was like, that's the type of emotional side of things that you have to factor for sometimes. Cub Swanson has a massive striking advantage already in this fight. We knew it was grappler versus striker. Elkins was going to have to grapple, but when you add the type of mental sharpness that comes from somebody having that sort of an attitude, competing in front of their children and not wanting to lose in front of their kids, like that just adds that extra edge that I knew he was going to be on point. And holy hell, he didn't rush anything. He just pot-shotted Darren Elkins, hurt him, didn't rush it, backed off, waited for the next perfect shot. Everybody that bet Cub Swanson, especially around that minus 160 spot, like just good on you. Good on you. Because that was a gorgeous performance. It doesn't get any better than that. His game plan was perfect, and he was clearly the better fighter that night. So big mistake by me. Gave 2 units back on that spot. And then what we had next was Gamarot and Diego Faja. Fun fight, really fun fight. Liked Gamarot, didn't end up, parlaying him or anything like that. Weird rib injury in the second round. Looked like Gamarot was kind of starting to take over, but they were both getting tired, so it would have been interesting to see how that thing panned out. But Gamarot did the damn thing, got it done with a finish in that second round, so good on him. And you know what? We had our parlay, Ricky Simone, tied to maybe saved, right? Like we had Ricky Simone parlayed on the canceled fight with Barcelos, and I'm kind of okay with the way it panned out. I had minus 290 on Ricky Simone and a big bomb on him, 4.11 units, and that cash clearly, easily, Ricky Simone ran straight through Rafael Assunção. I should have considered the TKO more. Looking back on it in hindsight, Assunção, 39 years old, coming off of that awful knockout loss to Cody Garbrandt, it wasn't going to take a ton from really anybody to knock him out again. You know what I mean? That's the kind of knockout at that age that you think is probably going to kind of have some long-lasting effects. And sure enough, Ricky did the damn thing. Love that guy. Good soldier like we talked about. Got it done. Easy 1.42 units there in that spot. Almost wish we had hammered it harder. Now we had Amanda Lemos by sub in the next one, and that was so close. She damn near knocked Hill's head off in that first round, and then she went for the guillotine. I was about to freak out. Like, we were already having a hell of a night. Things were already going pretty well. If Lemos had hit the plus 800 by sub prop, I would have lost my mind. That would have been fantastic. Now, that fight was extremely close. I think 30-27 for Lemos was an awful scorecard. I know a lot of people out there that had Hill by decision at like 5-1, and that's a gorgeous bet, whoever made that. I personally thought that Hill had won the later 2 rounds. I did score it myself for Hill personally. So take that as you may. I thought that she won the fight, but Angela Hill losing close fought split decisions is her MO. Right? That's just her whole thing. That's what she does. That's what she's done for years now. And this is another one where, again, just clear as day in hindsight. I should have taken Lemos by split decision. There are some books that offer like majority or split type of props. Why the hell did we not consider that Angela Hill was going to make this a close fight and then lose said split decision? Because that's what she always does when she fights an elite caliber opponent. That number would have been stupid because everyone was expecting Lemos and expecting it early. Either way, I think there's an argument to be made for both women. It was a close fight. It was a competitive fight. I think Hill won, but I don't think it was a robbery. And honestly, the way that Lemos damn near killed her in that first round, like, anybody else in the division is just done from that front kick. Like, Angela Hill's head is made out of bricks. I don't know how she pulls off what she does. It's insane. HG saying he's got Lemos by 14-1 for a full unit. Holy shit. Yeah, that would have been one hell of a night. What's up, Hype MMA in the chat? Appreciate you tuning in. All right. And yeah, I completely agree with this assessment, Yuko. 29-28, either way, fair scorecard. Completely agree. So what we've got closing out the fight was a hell of an underdog bet on none other than Bilal Muhammad. Beat the line move, got plus 200, and he came out and just did work. That was phenomenal. Absolutely loved watching that performance. I mean, it was one of those ones where it wasn't pleasing to the eye. It's not going to win him any fans or anything like that. But when you've got a 2-1 underdog in your pocket and he just washes the other guy with no response, no answer for the game plan, it just feels so good. Sorry, Wonderboy. I know I basically got voted off the island for betting against Wonderboy Thompson, but hey, the jingle in my pocket feels pretty nice. And then the main event. Oh, the main event. I feel so vindicated. Took Derek Lewis by knockout, plus 175. And I've talked about it all week that I was like, man, I love Chris Daukaus. But is he really ready for the Black Beast? Like, he just relies on swinging too much. And I know that sounds stupid to say that a fighter relies on their chin too much, because that's what they're doing. They're in a fight. Like, they have to get hit and be able to take it. But when you're talking about a guy like the Black Beast, who is the most prolific knockout artist in the UFC, like, you can't be relying on getting hit and taking the shot. That's not a good game plan. You just can't do that. So for Daukaus to go in there and not use good enough footwork, to not keep the range, I mean, Derek Lewis did an amazing job of corralling him up against the fence and then just deaded him. I thought it was going to take longer. I really did, because Lewis usually starts a little bit slow, but he definitely had some, vengeance on the mind on Saturday and showed the level that he is at. Felt good to cash that bet. And I kind of wish I had hit it harder, just because how often are we going to get Derek Lewis at plus 175? Like, regardless of the outcome of that fight, how often are you really going to get Derek Lewis by knockout plus 175? He's always like a minus 180 favorite, and then the knockout prop is even money. So getting plus money on Derek Lewis KO, that we're probably not going to see that again. So, probably should have hit it a little bit harder, but whatever. Can't complain. I will take it. All right. Oh, Yuko saying got plus 215. Very nice. Reggae saying Angela over the hill. I mean, hey, she's definitely getting up there, but the fact that she shows the tenacity that she does and the never quit that she does, I mean, shit, she's going to be around for a while. Angela Hill is going to not just disappear. Definitely. All right. Oh shit! Fake punt. Yeah, I got the game up here. I took a live bet on the Browns. It seems like the defense is doing some serious work. I'm really pissed off that they didn't get that field goal, because that would have made all the difference in the world for me. Speaking of which, hey, we got degenerate action tonight, folks. I'm gonna have to try to get off the podcast in a timely manner, because none other than my Minnesota Vikings are playing this evening, and I gotta head on over to the father-in-law's house to sweat this one out, because we're in the wild card hunt, and tonight's gonna be a sketchy, greasy sort of evening. All I did tonight was I'm taking Vikings defense and special teams to score a touchdown anytime. That's 8-1, and then I'm sprinkling first touchdown and last touchdown, because both of those are 40-1. So if the Vikings are up and the Bears have to throw late, I'm hoping for like a pick six type of situation with a quarterback that really isn't the best passer in the world. I've done this a couple times. I almost got it with the Cowboys, so we'll take another run at it tonight. But I can't get super invested financially on this fight, on this game, because I just need my Vikings to freaking win. I just need them to win. So that's the recap. We already went over the record for the year, plus 34.93 units. Feels damn good. That puts me 2-1 on years since we started tracking, since we started doing the podcast. So it feels good to bounce back from my 2019 collapse and loss with a nice win, a big win too. 34 units is nothing to sniff at. I mean, a lot of the handicappers that I have on the show as guests that are much better and much smarter than me, some of them didn't do quite that well. So I know there's a lot of variance involved in that. I'm not trying to shame anybody. I'm not trying to puff my own chest or anything like that. But it definitely feels good to have that kind of a score, because knowing I'm more of an entertainer and less of the best bettor in the world, having that kind of a result after this year feels fantastic. And hopefully we can just keep on rolling that way into 2022. what I want to do to close out the show for you all today is go over kind of the year-end awards and stuff like that. I noted some things down here, and I'm ready to rock on some of these things. Real quick, though, housekeeping note. We do have 49 of you live. Hey, we knew the year-end show was going to be tiny, right? There's Monday Night Football on already, and there's no fight to break down, so we knew the numbers were going to be low. You, the chosen few who are still hanging out with me, just know y'all are the best. Y'all are the real ones. And even those of you that didn't make the show live but are watching the replay to keep up with me, just know I appreciate you damn well, too. There's going to be some changes coming. I hope you all don't get too upset at me or anything like that. I know there's a lot of people out there who are purists. You know, once you get into something, once you find something that you like, you don't want it to change. And what I want to let you know is that I'm going to maintain, I want to be as pure to the brand as possible. I want to keep doing what I'm doing because, again, without you guys getting me to this phase, we wouldn't be able to take advantage of any of the opportunities and we'd never grow beyond here. So I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel or anything like that, but I am going to do my best to get the show to take off, because I want to make this my day job. I want the podcast and the sports betting and the entertainment and the content creation. Like, I want that to be my everyday, day in and day out, because that's where my passion lies. I feel like that's really where I'm best, and my talents are wasted behind a desk at a day job. So I'm working towards that goal very hard. And what that means is a couple tweaks to the podcast in order to make the podcast a little bit better moving forward, more consumable to other people. We're going to have to make some adjustments. And I mean, one of those things is like a very, very simple thing. Like when we break down the cards, I always thought it was fun to start at the bottom of the card and then ramp up to the main event, because that made more sense to, you know, end on a bang. You're like, we're going to watch everything, we're going to break it all down, and then we're going to get to the final fight of the night, and that's going to be where we get, you know, excited and we break everything down and we go super in depth on it. But what we've actually found out is that with the YouTube analytics and things like that, the casuals, the people that we would want to, you know, have joining the diehards, the people that we need to catch and get in if we're going to really have this thing take off, they don't listen as long. So you true, pure diehards, you'll listen to the 2-hour bullshit that I put out there. You will listen to every second talking about every single fight. And when we rant for 20 minutes on an undercard fight with somebody nobody's ever heard of, you guys are the ones that'll tune in for that, but not the masses. The masses will not do that. They tune out. So what we're going to do is we're going to like flip the script, and we're going to start each episode on the main event rather than ending on the main event, because those of you that will listen to the whole show, we know you're going to stick with us all the way till the end anyway. And then we'll catch some of those people who are maybe not as dedicated, who probably aren't going to stay for the full thing, and maybe turn them into more fans because they'll catch the bigger, more popular fights at the beginning and maybe stick around for some of the others as we get down the card. So small adjustments like that are the types of things that we're going to be working on to make the podcast just a little bit better. Okay. So sorry for the tangent. Thank you all so much for sticking with me. Again, trying not to get out of control with the adjustments or the tweaks, but we're going to be making some adjustments to try to get the podcast lifting off as much as humanly possible. With that out of the way, we got the 2021 awards, folks. We got the end of year awards as per the Die Hard MMA podcast. And for knockout of the year, let's start big and bad, right? For knockout of the year, that award goes to none other than Derek Lewis himself, specifically the knockout over Curtis Blades. The way that he caved that big man over, I just couldn't get my head around it. I didn't think that Derek Lewis was going to win that fight, period. And the way that he just absolutely flatlined a giant, 350-pound man, it was incredibly impressive. It ruined my betting night. And a lot of people have kind of forgotten about that knockout. It was scary, it was terrifying, and it was masterful. So that's my knockout for 2021. Derek Lewis KOing none other than Curtis Blades himself. I do want to go ahead and give an honorable mention here in this spot, though. Edson Barboza with the delayed KO was absolutely one of the most insane things I have ever seen. Burgos somehow hanging on to consciousness when his body had completely been shut off by Edson Barboza. People aren't talking about that enough. Like, holy hell, That was something we have never seen before, and it deserves way more props than it has gotten. So my honorable mention for KO of the year goes to Barboza for his knockout over none other than Shane Burgos. Now, submission of the year. My submission of the year is going to go to Carlston Harris for his anaconda choke over Christian Aguilera. This was one where Christian Aguilera is not a giant name in MMA, but we all know who he is. And we were just getting to know Harris. And we have found out that that man is an absolute monster. He announced himself on the scene with that submission. It was gorgeous. There's not a lot of insane subs this year, so that one was a little bit harder to pick from because there were a lot of rear naked chokes and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy this year. And the Anaconda, it was just gorgeous. The way he locked that up was masterful, so I wanted to make sure he got the props that he deserves, in my opinion, for that one. Now, next up, we're going to go Fight of the Year. This one was really hard for me. I'll be completely honest. Fight of the Year was incredibly difficult for me to pick, but I think what I'm going to go with, the Korean Zombie versus Dan Ige. This was a 25-minute just back and forth war. It was such a fun fight. I think Volkanovski Ortega was probably my runner-up or my honorable mention for Fight of the Year. Those two were definitely up there, but there were a lot of really good fights. You know what, Reggae Panda? Fluffy over Hernandez, and I cashed a bet on that one. I talked about that on James Lynch's live stream today, that I think that one's not getting enough attention as far as like an underdog upset and things like that. I think that that absolutely is a good honorable mention for Sub of the Year. Fluffy submitting Vieira, mostly because no one saw it coming. You know, not because it was anything crazy or special, but because of the jiu-jitsu credentials of Vieira and the fact that it just was so insane to think that, yeah, not only did he lose, but he lost in the way that no one thought he could lose. That's a great call. So let's see here. All right, got Fighter of the Year out of the way. Next up, I got Fight of the Year out of the way. Next up is my Fighter of the Year. And this one may be a little bit of a controversial take and may definitely be a little biased, but hey, it's my award, so I can give it to whoever the hell I want to. None other than Action Man Chris Curtis himself. The reason that we are giving this award out to Action Man Chris Curtis is because he was counted out. He came onto the scene with not a peep. Nobody wanted to give this man his due. Nobody wanted to give this man the credit that he was owed. He was looked past in both of his fights, and he was a gigantic underdog in both of them. And not only did he win those fights, he knocked everybody the hell out. Like both of his opponents, he was 300 underdogs too, and he wrecked them. The whole world knows who Action Man Chris Curtis is now. So he might not be a champion. He may not have defended his title, but he absolutely is my Fighter of the Year. Next up, I want to give a couple of Rising Star awards out here. And my first one is going to go to Jefe, Jeff Molina, El Jefe himself. Big fan of this guy. Glory MMA fighter. I really think that there are a lot of good things coming in El Jefe's future. I cannot wait to see this kid moving forward. I think he's in the right place. He's got all the tools, and he's with a coach that is going to bring him up the right way for him to be a real problem. My second pick for Rising Star to keep an eye on, Chaos Kalen Williams, the Ox King himself. This is another man to keep an eye on. And again, these are rising stars. So I'm not talking about somebody who's already a title challenger or something like that. These are guys who are young, up and coming, and we need to be aware of moving forward. So I think Chaos is another guy who's just got that raw physicality. He's got all the tools. He's got all the opportunity. He's going to be a problem moving forward. That's the kind of guy that I'm looking out for here. And I think those two are perfect examples of fighters that we need to keep our eyes on moving forward in 2022. Best moment in the UFC of 2021. This one is near and dear to my heart. We're going with Brandon Moreno getting the strap. I know there's a couple other things that have happened this year that other people may want to argue the best moment was, but this one for me, I picked out Brendan Moreno as a future champion a long time ago, before he got cut from the organization and everyone counted him out. Everyone said that he was never going to make it. I mean, I feel like I have been on that underdog journey with Brendan Moreno because I've been such a fan of his for so long. And I will tell you all right now that I cried. I cried real man tears when that belt was strapped around his waste. He is such a good person, such a good human being, a fitting champion. And I love that he made it there. So that was my moment. But you know what? The honorable mention for best moment of the year was one that most people probably would have as their number one, and that is Glover Teixeira getting his hands on UFC gold. It is a similar situation. The difference for me is my fandom. I'm a huge fan of Glover. I love cashing bets on Glover. And again, such a great guy, such a good story, being the oldest fighter in UFC history. The difference was I cried when Brandon Moreno got that belt wrapped around his waist. I was a huge fan of Glover. I was proud for Glover. I enjoyed that moment, but I bawled like a little girl when Brandon Moreno got the strap. So honorable mention goes to Glover Teixeira. Our next award, we're going to be pivoting here just a little bit, having a little bit more fun, is going to be the Robbery of the Year. The Robbery of the Year goes to none other than Alan Patrick. You sneaky, snaky little bastard. He is getting absolutely wrecked in his fight against Mason Jones. Absolutely destroyed. I am well on my way to a fat, juicy parlay. I am well on my way to a round 3 Mason Jones sprinkle. And he takes the easy way out. He takes his ball and goes home. Not only that, but he talked a bunch of shit afterward. They had him book the rematch, and he pulled out of the damn rematch. Now, I know he probably had real, legitimate reasons to pull out of that rematch, but it makes me angry that he got away with what he did the first time, and then he pulled out of the rematch and snaked away. And now everyone's going to forget about it. Everybody's going to forget about it. They're going to let him off the hook because Mason Jones wants to move past it, go up the scale, up the ladder. Alan Patrick is going to get off scot-free. And it makes me mad because I beat that line movement. I had a huge bet on that fight. The fact that it got away makes me furious. And you know what? I know the chat going on right now. Aljo, saying that Aljo was eligible. He absolutely was eligible. And a lot of people saying that's the biggest robbery, but this is my biggest robbery. I didn't have a bet on Aljo. This one got me right in the taint. So that's the reason it's my biggest robbery. Next up, y'all are going to love this. The 2021 nemesis of the Die Hard MMA podcast. Enemy number 1 for 2021 was none other than Pat Sabatini. You greasy little son of a bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Pat Sabatini. And you know what? It took me way too long to give this man what he deserves. I am 0-3 betting against Pat Sabatini. I feel like I had one good spot, and the other two were sheer... I was dumb. I was stupid. I should not have bet against Pat Sabatini all 3 of those times. I think I had a legitimate angle one of those times. The other 2 may have just been bias. Pat, if you're listening, if you're watching, you got the 2021 Nemesis Award. Just know that I appreciate you and I appreciate your skill set, and I have paid my dues. I have learned my lesson, and you will not be a fighter that I attempt to fade moving forward from this point on. Looking forward to your career in 2022. The next award goes to the Die Hard MMA Most Valuable Fighter. And y'all better know where this one is going. Drago! Alexander Volkov, the man who is responsible for the 7-unit bet the man who we have single-handedly risked the most money on in the history of the podcast. In my personal betting history, the most money I've ever put on a human being has been Alexander Volkov. We've run the 7-unit bet on him not once, but twice, and laid absolute hammers down on him, and he has come through for us. We are undefeated. I believe we're 3-0 at this point on the 7-unit bet, and 2 out of the 3 have been Alexander Volkov. So very, very appreciative. Thank you so much, Alexander Volkov, for what you've done for the show, because you definitely are partially responsible for the profit mark that we hit for this year. Next up is going to be the best bet for 2021. The single best bet I believe I have made over the course of the year. And you may think that it should go to Volkov, but no. That goes to none other than Jamal Hill. That man, 3 units at plus 150 odds in his comeback fight against Jimmy Crute. That was a gift. That was a gift from the sports books. The man should have been a minus 275 favorite, and instead, because of recency bias, he was plus 150, and we didn't put 1 unit on it. We didn't put 2 units on it. We trusted Jamal Hill with three big boy units. We put our nuts on the table, and he brought it home for us. So thank you, Jamal Hill, for being the best bet of 2021. We do have an honorable mention for this one because it's a very similar situation, and that is Marcos Rogerio de Lima at plus 135 against none other than our dad, Big Ben Rothwell. It felt bad. It didn't feel good betting against Daddy, but you know what? It was a similar situation as Jamal Hill. The only difference between these two is that I don't feel like the value was quite there. As I mentioned, Jamal Hill should have been a minus 275 favorite in that spot. He never should have been the underdog. Marcos Rogerio de Lima also should have been the favorite against Big Ben in that spot, but probably closer to like a minus 140, minus 150 type of range. Not crazy. Jamal Hill was a massive swing in value, and that's why we feel that was the spot. But needless to say, we did put another 3 units on Marcos Rogerio de Lima at plus 135, and that was one hell of a casher. Yeah, you know what, Josh? I can't necessarily claim that one, but anybody that did bet Cyril Gane at even money, that's got to be your best bet for the year. Not mine, because I wasn't that guy. I missed out on that boat, unfortunately. Now, of course, after going through the best bet of the year, we got to go over the worst bet of the year now, don't we? Not looking forward to this one. None other than Ryan Bader taking on Corey Anderson. Now, this is the first fighter or bet on this list that doesn't come from the UFC. But holy hell, I had been watching and waiting for Ryan Bader to take on Corey Anderson because I thought he was just well-rounded, much more the better man, and I could not have been more excited. I put a large bet on Ryan Bader at plus 155, and oh my God, he's done. He is so cooked at this point. I'm a huge fan of Ryan Bader. His season of The Ultimate Fighter is one of the reasons why I am the diehard MMA fan that I am. I've followed his career basically the whole way through. I have nothing but love for the guy. But geez, that hurt. That really hurt to lose that bet, and it was just awful. It was a terrible decision on my part. I have routinely spoken ill of Corey Anderson, and once again, very similar to Pat Sabatini, I have learned my lesson, and the respect is due and owed, and it will be given moving forward. The honorable mention for the worst bet of the year is Walt Harris against Marcin Tybura, because this is another one where personally, I don't rate Marcin Tybura where most other people rate Marcin Tybura. I'm still going to continue to look for opportunities to bank against him, but he is better than I have given him credit for. And I did also think that Walt Harris, similar to Ryan Bader, had that one in the bag, and it was going to be much more competitive than it was. I had 2 units at plus 130, and not only was that a bad bet, but it was a bad double up. Like, I never should have put 2 units on him, even if I did think he was going to win, knowing the gas tank issues and the fact that he quits if he doesn't finish somebody in the first round. Just a horrible mistake. We always try to avoid that spot, and I doubled up on it instead of, even if I was going to bet on somebody with a bad gas tank, putting 2 units on it, just stupid. Stupid. All right. Enough of the bad bets. I'm tired of beating myself up at this stage. We're getting close to the end of our list, folks. what I want to go over for this next award is going to be, and this will be our last award of the night, the bad beat. The bad beat of 2021. Volkanovski versus Ortega does not go the distance at plus 105. Thankfully, this was only a 1-unit risk bet, but how the hell did that fight not get stopped? I mean, Volkanovski had a purple freaking head from trying to survive that choke, and he had Ortega quitting on the stool. His coaches had to run in and pick him up and put him on the corner stool. Like, how did that fight make it the distance? To this day, I still have no idea how neither man went out. And you know what? I may have actually gotten this one backwards. My honorable mention for the bad beat of 2021 maybe should have been the actual winner of the award for me. None other than Juanispino versus Alexander Romanov. If y'all recall, this one was very, very much like the Mason Jones-Alan Patrice situation. I had Juanispino at plus 115 in this fight, and Alexander Romanov gassed out badly after that first round. Juanispino had evened up the score. It was 1-1 going into the third, and he was very clearly the fresher of the two fighters. Took a bad cup shot and basically hammed it up because he didn't want to continue, not because his nuts hurt, but because he had such a bad gas tank he couldn't continue. He took the easy way out, and the fight was long enough that they actually went to a technical draw, or a technical decision, which is one of the first times we have ever seen that. Going to a technical decision when the fight had not completed due to a foul. They actually somehow scored the split for Romanov, which makes no sense because Juanispino was dominating that third round. Romanov did nothing in that third round. I don't know who, how, where scored that third round for Alexander Romanov, but that one hurt me deep in my soul. That's the bad beat of 2021, folks. Those are my awards, the Die Hard MMA awards for 2021. I hope you guys enjoyed those. I had a real good time going back, looking through the spreadsheet and picking out the fights. And then really a couple of them I honestly kind of forgot about, like the Espino-Romanov one. When I stumbled across that bet, I almost ripped, what's left of my hair out when I saw that one because I remembered how furious I was at the time. Same thing with the Alan Patrice situation, and I sniffed up and teared up a little bit going back through the Brendan Moreno situation, rewatched the award ceremony where he got his belt wrapped around his waist. So it was fun to reminisce. 2021 has been one hell of a year. It's been a hell of a ride, really fun, lots of good bets, lots of bad bets, lots of learning opportunities for us as gamblers, and I appreciate each and every one of you for taking this journey with me. As always, the goal of the Die Hard MMA podcast has been to bring non-MMA fans to the sport of MMA, to turn non-MMA bettors into MMA gamblers, to turn casuals into diehards, and we're going to keep doing that. We have made a lot of progress the last 2 years. This show has taken off like it was shot out of a cannon. And I have you guys to thank for that. So I appreciate you more than you can ever possibly know. And I hope that somehow we can keep this trajectory going. Whether this show is something that, I can support my family with, or whether one of these days I get the call from ESPN. I just hope that we keep on heading up that track. And especially, I hope we can keep putting money in your pocket, watching MMA and gambling on it, as long as you're doing it safely with bankroll management and not overextending yourself on that risk, making sure you're never betting more than you're capable of losing. It can make everything more fun. It can make everything better. So seriously, guys, from the bottom of my heart, this is going to be the last time you'll hear from me on screen, on video, until next year. This is kind of the happy holidays and New Year's show for the Die Hard MMA podcast this year. I'm just so grateful. I know you guys hear that from me a lot, but I really, really am. From the bottom of my heart, I mean it. You guys are the absolute best. And when I say you guys, by the way, that is not gender specific. I know we've got some, female and non-binary fans out there, and you are included in the guys when I say guys. So thank every single one of you. I promise you, I'm going to continue working my ass off. I promise you, I'm going to continue being transparent and honest and open the whole way. We are going to turn the Twitter space and the MMA fandom away from the toxicity as much as humanly possible. We're going to keep on that mission, and we've done a good job. We have the best community in the MMA space today, and I honestly believe that because you guys are all no-nonsense people that don't need to get into the petty bullshit and the toxicity, and that's what makes this so damn special. Thank you, guys. I hope you have a happy holidays no matter what you're celebrating, no matter who you're celebrating with. I know that the holidays are an exceptionally difficult time for a lot of people, recently lost loved ones, people that, for whatever reason, don't have their families or close ones to spend it with. Just reach out, especially on Twitter. We have a phenomenal group of people. We have a tight-knit community and family that we've built here around this crazy-ass sport that we like to gamble on. So you're never alone during this time. I just want you to know that you are never alone. And if you need help, if you really do need help, there's professionals in the support industry that are there for you. Don't go through this tough time without somebody supporting you. And myself and the other fans on Twitter and in this comment section in this YouTube chat, we'll do everything we can to help keep you rolling. You all have a happy and safe holidays. Travel safely. Travel safely. Guys, one last thing before I go. Slow down. Slow down. I know that sounds crazy, but everybody at the holidays is in a rush. Everybody needs to get home. You got to buy that food. You got to buy that gift. And you step on the gas. You're going 25 miles an hour in a freaking parking lot. Like, there's people, there's kids. Everybody's short on their fuse. Everybody's quick on that trigger. The best thing you can do is take a deep breath and slow down. Keep yourself, keep your family, keep others safe. Let's get through this holiday. It's going to be a couple weeks, but we will be back. We'll see you on the 5th. January 5th for the very first episode of the Deadlock podcast. And then I will see you on the 10th for the 2021 debut of the Die Hard MMA podcast, where I will be more than ready to break down some MMA. And my wife is going to be more than ready to get me to shut up about MMA because she'll be sick of me by then. Thank you all again. Much love. We'll see you next year. Let's roll.